Welcome to the senior management meeting held on the 14th of February 2013. Before we commence the meeting, I would like to talk about President Obama's State of the Union address. Have a look at this.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the
President of the United States.
Mortgages, cars, consumer shite, government spending all through the night, pensions and healthcare and welfare rights, education wars to fight, run up a deficit, ignore the facts, blame someone else, put up tax. I can't deny we had a crack, but now we gotta pay it back. You know what you are. You're dead bomb, you're a dead bomb. The addiction to credit just goes on and on. Dead bomb, you're a dead bomb. A bailout, ooh, you turn me on. You know what you're doing to me, don't you? I know you do. If you can't afford it, don't be ill at ease. Spend it anyway, you've got voters to appease. Take the prudent savers and just give them a squeeze. Ow! That's the economics of Keynes. One more time now. Quantitative easing, zero interest rates. Steal from the future, hide the bad mistakes. We gotta keep those asset prices high. Don't matter if the credit's dry. Dead bomb, you're a dead bomb. Try to pay the debt off with inflation. Dead bomb, yeah. You're a dead bomb. Malinvestment, ooh, you turn me on. A boom caused by excess credit will always bust. Yeah. You've then got two choices, decide you must abandon the addiction, the credit lust, or the currency collapses, it just turns to worthless dust. Yeah. Dead bomb, you're a dead bomb. Destroy the country's money, anything to carry on. Dead bomb, you're a dead bomb. Bubbles, ooh, you turn me on. Oh, I love that.
But we gather here knowing that there are millions of Americans whose hard work and dedication have not yet been rewarded. Our economy is adding jobs, but too many people still can't find full-time employment. Corporate profits have skyrocketed to all-time highs, but for more than a decade, wages and incomes have barely budged. It is our generation's task, then, to reignite the true engine of America's economic growth, a rising, thriving middle class.
I want you to look at a clip from the TC show that was transmitted on the 19th of January 2012. I truly believe that Ron Paul is the only hope in the US. Ron Paul is not backed by the multinational corporations, therefore I doubt he will get the Republican nomination.
Who is this Ron Paul?
There you go, I rest my case. The mainstream media do not back him. Would you agree, TC?
Anyway, moving on.
And now have a look at this.
If only someone who really believed in limited government, someone who respects the dignity of the individual freedom, if only someone like Ron Paul would run for president. Oh, he's here via satellite. Dr. Paul, why didn't you run for president?
Well, John, that's interesting because I had a dream once that I actually did. And I had a dream that I was doing very well and that I won the primary in Iowa. And boy, I woke up that next morning, I went out and watched the TV. My name was never mentioned, so I guess it was all just a dream. But I've thought about it, so maybe someday I will.
And hence the point of my joking introduction. You were often ignored by not this program, but many in the media. But you did get in the Republican primary more than 2 million votes.
Ron Paul is quite right. The mainstream media ignored him. Ron Paul speaks the truth, but unfortunately the majority of the population don't want to hear the truth. They prefer the hype. Well, the US population have got what they deserve.
Quite right, George. Okay, have a look at this.
Some of these guys show up 10 hours early to be at the end of the aisle so they can get their faces on TV. It's a big suck-up fest.
Boy, it was terrible. I watched a little bit of that tonight, and I keep thinking of, it's like a circus, a joyous occasion, and rushing in there and getting those seats. And they'll go in there and occupy a seat there very early on, hours and hours before. But the jumping up and down and the ritual that they go through, should the Republicans get up on this one, or should they sit on their hands? Oh, this is one where everybody gets up and down, and it sounds like the world has been saved. If you were locked in just being on that floor, it would be so distorted. But that's about the way Washington is. It's so distorted. They live in their own little bubble, and they don't know that there's anybody like you or anybody in your audience that might have questions about what's going on in this country. And certainly we didn't get any answers tonight.
I want you all to listen very carefully to what Ron Paul says next. He is not optimistic at all about the economic future.
Are there younger members of Congress now? You have retired. Are there younger people who give you hope?
Oh, yeah, certainly. The numbers aren't great, but, there's 6 to 12 that are going to do a very good job, and that's a lot more than there had been during the many years that I was there. So that's very encouraging. But
you've endorsed a few. Representative Justin Amash, Senator Ted Cruz,
sure.
Thomas Massey,
and
Ted Yoho,
right,
Kerry Bentaviolo, Steve Stockman.
Yeah, and that's a real good start. And we do need a lot more, but the truth is, I don't think we can, after listening to a speech like that, we should be convinced that this spending isn't going to quit before we have a calamity. That's what I think is going to happen. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't stop trying to change people's minds. But to think that next year or in 2 years from now we're going to have more members of Congress and we're finally going to come to our senses and we're going to vote against some of this largesse for all the special interests and we're going to bring our troops home and they're going to repeal and restrain the president from assassinating American citizens, his so-called right to do that. That's not going to happen. There's going to be a serious problem, economic, and a crisis here where there will be a decision made by the people, mostly the young people right now that are in college and getting out of college, on what kind of a system we have. We have an outline. It's been around. It's called the Constitution. And if we would go in that direction once again, we could solve some of our problems. But right now, it's not going to be gradual. I think it's inevitable we're going to have this financial crisis, which is going to be very, very serious.
I would like to play one more clip from Ron Paul. Although he is pessimistic about the US government, he is optimistic that people will wake up and make a stand against the government.
The answer is in the Constitution. I happen to have one here. I'm always struck by how thin it is compared to the laws that we now must obey.
Right.
You were in Congress 35 years. Anything get better?
No, it all got worse. The spending always went up, and government got bigger, and more wars, and more printing of money, and more power to the Fed, more central economic planning. But that's what you see on the surface. In the 1930s, most of the things you saw on the surface was defense of liberty, and even Roosevelt ran on a balanced budget and the gold standard in 1932. So I think the reverse is the case now. Everything on the surface looks like it's welfareism and warfareism forever, but I think underneath there's this smoldering desire that is growing by leaps and bounds that's saying that a lot of these people in this country have had enough of it. And I think tonight, you know, he talked about a lot about gun controls. I don't think the American people are going to put up with that. And I think this awakening is coming, is on its way. So I would like to do my share in trying to nourish that awakening.
Lastly, I would like to play a clip from Gregory Mannarino. He provides an insight from the alternative media and tells it as it is.
Hi everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. How are you today? Alright my friends, 16.5 trillion plus in debt, sovereign debt, not counting unfunded liabilities, and President Obama says we are the richest country in the world. He said this several times, and last night during the State of the Union he had said it again. Not only did he say that, but for those of us that were listening, you understand that he plans to spend a lot more. He went on and on and on about all kinds of things. And one of them was spending. Continued spending on everything you can possibly think about without any meaningful cuts.
Run up a deficit, ignore the facts. Blame someone else, put up tax. I can't deny we had a crack, but now we gotta pay it back. You know what you are.